welcome to a special episode and special adventure on Writing Through the Unknown. I'm your host, Michael, and today's guest I had the honor and privilege of meeting in person at the 2025 Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida, and I have been blessed and grateful to make appearances on her podcast show. And so I am so blessed to have her today as a guest for you all. And thank you all for joining us at this special time. And without further ado, I am going to allow my guest to introduce herself and tell her story. So I give you the one, the only super soldier, Veronica Bartolini.
Thank you, Michael. I call him Michael. I'm Veronica Bartolini, and I had the pleasure of meeting you, Michael, in Florida. And we hung out. We had a good time. We were by the fire pit, swimming, all that, and just talking. I spoke to you and Nate Gray. I met him too, and other people. We were sitting at a table with Maria Sweet. We hung out with Susan Long, everybody there. And it was just fun, amazing. I'm very grateful that Brian made sure that we got there, and we had our, we did our little show here and there, and I had my table, and I'm just really grateful to be here, Michael. It's an honor. Thank you.
Well, the honor is mine. And for those who aren't familiar with you, can you give them a little bit of background of your experiences and your story?
Well, it would take a whole lifetime to hear my life. I've lived many lives here. I recently did write 3 books, Sheila and the 99. The other one is My Life in the Secret Space Program, which I had written it as My Naked Truth, Story of a Female Cop. But then I changed it to that. And that's a whole rundown of my whole story here and school and the military and police. My personal life since a child. I had to. That's the way that I'm healing. And then the 3rd book is Sheila Wolverine Mars Montauk, which in there I speak about CIA love bites. I termed it CIA love bites, B-Y, as in Yankee, love bites, because there's, as you know, the agencies like to send people to you, whether it's a romantic relationship or not, to infiltrate you, to occupy your time so that your mission is not complete. So it's up to you personally and you only to see that. So I'm hoping to be able to help the audience and whoever, I do readings and things like that. I do more of, I have my deck of cards here and I pulled a few cards, but mainly I use my intuition. I was born with special gifts. And when I was a kid, my mom would say, "Oh no, that's of the devil. You're speaking nonsense. That's not Catholic-like." And then when I was older, that's not Christian-like. But I had to kind of hide I couldn't really tell my mom or the family too much of what I saw, because I did see a lot of things. Just being with my eyes open, I hadn't been able to fall asleep because I could see creatures under my bed. The mano peluda, the walking hand, Harry, walking hand. Back then I didn't know what they were, Greys and Dracos, which are just a lot of things. Since I was a child, I was always followed. Even when I would go visit my grandparents in Mexico, I was followed by men, and I was scared, and I would run away, and I would see things in the closet. And my grandmother too, on my maternal side, she would see things in her closet, and she would say, "Mijita, close the door. I see them, ahí están la gente." I said, okay, no. And I'm like shaking to the closet door. Why do I have to close the door? You're the adult, And many things, many things. There's so much to say, but when I was a police officer, I used my gifts, and back then I never told anybody in the police force. What happened is my lieutenant would show me pictures of the guys that had wants and warrants, or the gals, and he would say, by nighttime, I want you to find these, and I'm like, okay. So on one of these incidents, I was, my other friends were the other cop friends were gonna go to lunch to lunch, and I'm like, you know what? I know where this guy is, even though I've never seen him before. I had no idea who he was. All I knew is that I drove my patrol car to the Star Motel, which it has recently, within the past 2 years, they demolished it. But I was there at the Star Motel, and there was an Asian guy there at the front desk, and I said, sir, do you know this? Where is this guy? And I said, I think he's here, I said. And he said, yeah, he's in number 10. And I still remember. I walk up there, and I'm like, police, open up, because that's my man voice, right? And he opened the door, and he froze. And I looked at him. I said, I need to take you to federal jail. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're wanted. my cop friends would laugh, and even my sergeant, because he'd say, oh, you're wanted. And I'm like, that was just me, I have autism and whatever. And to me, it's just fast. It's like whatever comes out, come on. I got, the stare, my man voice, and just, it's all in the eyes. It's all in the eyes, like how you communicate, it's really interesting. He did not resist. And then I heard my sergeant and my other cop friend, Chris, roll up with their wig wags on. And I'm like, what? I already got him behind, back of my patrol car. Like, what's the fuss? And one of the guys is like, I told you to wait for me. And I'm like, no, I told you I was going to go balls to the walls. I would always say, when it was like my turn to go 3, okay, boys, come on, guys, balls to the walls. And I just go. And the sergeant didn't like for me to be out on patrol when it was just him and myself doing traffic, because I was not going to just sit there twiddling my thumbs doing nothing. I'm like, okay, we don't have any calls. I'm going to go get somebody on traffic or somebody trying to pimp somebody off the street. And there was one time that I'm very proud. There was a young female that was, being prostituted, very young. And I talked to her and I said, look, do you still want to do this for the rest of your life? You can get killed here. You can get all kinds. I talked to her personally. She's like, miss, because they would say miss instead of ma'am. They'd say, miss, I don't want to be here anymore. And I'm like, okay, you got a place to go out of here? I'll take you. So I got special permission from my sergeant. I took her to the hotel where the other girls had resided with this pimp, right? That's what we're going to call it. That's what they are. No one was there, but she was able to get all her things. And I took her away from the precinct, far away. And I met her friend. And I said, is it okay for her to stay here? And she said, yes. So I never saw her again on the south side of city of South Tucson. So I'm very happy that I was able to do that. My whole thing, being a 14-year-old back in the day, was wanting to help children my age and younger, because of all the trauma that I went through. You can read it in my book. With my parents, my dad, took his life when I was 13. And there's just a lot of stuff, trauma that happened left and right, nonstop in my life. So I said, when I grow up, I'm either going to be a doctor or a police officer, because I want to help kids like me. And that's why I became a police officer. I wanted to protect and serve. And I was in the military too. Then I had my awakening, Michael. And then we know. And now we know what's behind it, and the atrocities and the stuff that happens, that shouldn't happen. We should have justice, and justice for all is what I stand for. And as long as you have a real true heart, and and speak the truth, and do good to others and for others and yourself, then I think we got this. I think we can all come together in this world, with especially with everything that's going on right now.
And
with
before
AI,
I ask I was going to say, before I ask my first question, I just wanted to honor your service as a vet and police officer. So thank you for your service and your sacrifice. And with that, my first question actually is, did your experiences with the programs and everything start before you came to the US, or was it when you were in the US?
In Mexico. I was, so what happened was, one of the doctors, Mangala, worked with two other doctors. I have it written in the book, from the Soviet Union. They had defected. They got kicked out pretty much. Ended up in Mexico and took me. I was my lab. My mother she had me as a C-section. She said that I was in her uterus sitting, that I did not want to turn. I never turned. I was just sitting. And so, what happens is, when they have, especially C-section, the cesarean sections, they bring another baby to you. So it's pretty interesting. Or they take even in the womb, the plasma and everything's given, the different kind of injections to make you a superhuman, or for the Nephilim bloodline, or whoever wants dibs on this being has dibs. And then when you're born, like I said, I was born in Nogales, Sonora, Mexico. And at 1 year old, my dad immigrated us to Nogales, Arizona. But I still had family in Mexico. I don't consider myself Mexican because I don't have Mexican bloodline. My bloodlines are so many. But it started there in Nogales, Sonora. And then when I moved to Arizona, same thing. As a child, I was taken out of class every day for supposedly English as a second language, but it was mainly for the super soldier program. I had ear testings. I had blood draws, many blood draws a year, 3, I would say. Bubble test, hearing test, speaking. He would, one of the professors, he always wore a suit. And he took my sister, myself, and other children into a special, kind of like a trailer, by the school. And every day we would start out with, "Hi, my name is," sorry, "how are you?" "I am fine." "What is your name?" And then boom, I'd black out. I do remember cards that he would show us. And then we would be taken off out of the school, especially me. I was the oldest. They would take me to libraries, to the observatories. They would take me to the lake, just different places. And my mom would always say yes. And then in 5th grade, I was recruited to the NASA program. And 5th grade, we had a contest. It was a very simple contest, your states and capitals, things like that. And so a young boy and myself, we were the ones that won the first place. We got invited by our teacher, Mrs. Norris, I still remember, to the movies, and we saw Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, forward now till I'm awakened, now I know that Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 is totally real. And then in 5th grade, going back, we had to make globes, the earthly globes, out of balloons and paint them, and paper, newspaper, paint them to different earths and whatever. And then we had to dress up in black and white suits, and we had to make our console like if we were in a ship. And they invited a lot of people there. I do remember 2 males with suits, and I don't know who they were. It's just really interesting when you think about the things in the past that happened to you. So that's when that started at birth. And then at a year and 5 months, according to Jay Essex, he did a reading for me long ago because I wanted to confirm what was going on. I remember being taken at 3 years old on a ship by 3 different beings. They had the big, huge eyes, almond eyes. One of them a female, but she had like hair. She had like a lavender suit. The other guy had a blue suit, and the other guy, I think it was green. I'm not sure. I wrote it down. And that's when I was 3 years old. When I came back to the front door, my mom spanked me because she couldn't find me. She didn't like it that I would go to the next door neighbors. There was a little kid swimming pool, a blue one, and I would go under the fence and I'd swim there. And I just lost so much time. My dad would even get upset because she was always telling me, don't go over there. So I do remember seeing the ship. It was like a lavender, silver, it was just like a saucer, a regular saucer. Not like the bell. It was kind of like the bell, but it didn't have the hump on the top. And I've seen it before in the astral, and that time it had like windows when I was taken to off planet to Mars. But anyway, there were other children there that I remember in the ship, and they had us do. Sorry, it's the traffic. They had us do a lot of tests with like cubes and things like that, and with our mind. And they told me that I can levitate. And my mom, to this day, because I still sleepwalk. My father was a somnambulist. That's what they're called when you sleepwalk. And she would say, "Don't touch your dad because he can have a heart attack." Well, I didn't know. So I just followed him. My mom and I would follow him. So when I was a kid, I do remember that I woke up and my mom's like, "Do you remember putting on your backpack and you had your PJs and you were going to the door? You said, 'Mommy, tengo que ir a la escuela. I have to go to school.'" My thing was, I was programmed to be an A student. Like I had to be the best in school, for me to be accepted at home. If I brought any C's or B's, whack, whatever, no food or whatever. I don't know. It was tough. But anyway, I do remember floating. When I think about it, I see myself floating on top and watching me go out toward the door with my backpack. And I was wondering, why did she put me back to bed? But then that's when she said, yeah, that you wanted to go to school, and it was a Saturday. Saturday, right? Saturday turns. There's a lot. So Jay Essex said that at a year and a half years old, they started putting the plasma shots for me to be used in the dolphin program, and they put me in a little pod where I can breathe underwater, and I was able to communicate with the fish and the ocean life. And the fish were scared of me, he says, because I can speak with them. I still have a baby voice that I remember speaking at when I was 9 years old with a certain baby voice when my little sister was born. And I still use it for my animals, or when I'm being silly with my kids or my family. And I always say I want to make some kind of cartoons with this baby voice that I have, because it's amazing. It's something happened to me. So I figured that it was that. It must have been. It's a very special voice. It must have been when I was underwater. So that was a year and a half, and I named the program Crystal Gates. I know it's called a dolphin program, but I named it Crystal Gates because I remember being in Sirius B, and there's 13 crystal cities, and I was a mermaid there, and I do have visions of when the AI wars happened, which I always say I come from the future because I have a lot of visions, and most of my visions and dreams come true. And I saw the AI wars, which is happening right now. Okay. the battlefield of the mind, the AI wars. People are being divided because there's a lot of stuff that's not real, but people are believing. Like the 3IA Atlas, that's part of Project Bluebeam, baby. But anyway, so I was there with the Dolphin program. I was in the Mars program. I was in Venus with Thor. Valiant Thor, he trained me. That's why I also use the Thor, the hammer on my second book is that emblem, the cover there. Sheila the She-Hulk, I was in the Hulk program. I remember the experiments that they did. I busted out a few times because they couldn't control me. And I have several Sheila She-Hulks. The one behind me, she's the worst one. She has no, I don't know if you can see, but she has no remorse and she does not forgive. The green one, she's very mean too, but she'll have, she'll be more cool. We'll just say that. I have an amphibian fish-like mermaid that was in the tank underground in Antarctica. Somebody told me a few years ago that they rescued me, but I said, nah, bro, you did not rescue me. I rescued myself by finding out who I was and going back into my inner child and doing my healing. I won't believe people when they say, oh, well, you did this to me, you did that to me. And I'm like, well, that's your reality. I don't have that memory. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of things that happen in this community where people are wanting to, we'll just say, put spells on you in ways of speaking to, oh, I remember you did this, you did that. Oh, you hit me with this. Oh, you raped me. Oh, no, like that's also satanic. So we have to be careful. I do remember a lot of people, and like, for example, like Susan Long, I remember many people, but it's just really interesting. I finally met them here. So I'll have dreams of them when I didn't know them, like say 2017, 2018, then I meet them and I'm like, that was you. Like I could feel their frequency there. So there's like a fine line, there are people that like to make stuff up, but there are others that will be legit. So we have to be careful in this community because it's like a vehicle. If you take your vehicle to different mechanics and you let them, and if you let people infiltrate you and your aura and your vortex and your heart, then they're going to use you and abuse you. And then what? It's going to happen, Then you're not going to know who the heck you are. You're going to go crazy. But anyway, do you have any more questions or the audience? Because there's like a lot.
Well, I'm curious because I figured out how to breathe underwater in fresh water. And when I get into like the salt water, like the oceans, it's like my mouth just rejects it and I start to get sick. And so I'm like, yep, I'm staying freshwater if I'm going to do it. But I was curious when you were talking about breathing underwater, if that was freshwater or saltwater.
So I have memories of being in a tub and being able to breathe underwater when I was a child. And what I do is when you take a shower, there's a way that you can take the water in your nose without choking. I have memories of both because I also have the memories of being with Max Spears in the SS Lorraine and going from the museums to the underground oceans and then going to the jump rooms in Mars from California. So it's both actually. I helped the children when I was a child too, but I helped the children to be able to communicate with the dolphins. So I would pair them up and the A students would have their hands down like this and up, like with their palms up. And then the C students would have their hands like this. So that way they can communicate with each other and then be able to communicate with the dolphin. Some of them did need the headgear the clear headgear for them to breathe. So there's a lot of dolphins and black whales and that I can communicate with. I was taking care of a huge beluga whale in one of my astrals, and it's just amazing how they are. There are other beings that are called tag-alongs that will tag along to the UFOs from the salt water underneath and then go up above and to the space stations and give whatever relics they need. So we were pretty much used. I was pretty much used to bringing back relics, communicating with the dolphins, and also holding the wormholes for people to come through, or beings. And I have memory of that. It's just crazy sometimes. It's like I have to pinch myself. Did that really happen? You know. So I have to like keep writing down my astral, my dreams, my visions, because just a lot of things are coming. Like I had a vision in 2017. Actually, 2017, I was in a dream, my astral, where I was in a black and white suit, and I had like a glass pad with me, and I had a male was beside me. He was like in a black and white suit as well. He had gray hair, tall, thin, and I said, "Oh wow, what's happening here?" So I pushed the button, and from South America to North, there was an orange line, and then we had something happen. China and Russia had a red line, and I said, "Oh shit!" Like the nuclear war, you know, it's happening. And then as soon as I saw that in the glass pad, there was a knock on the door, and there was 3 agents in suits that ran after me. And I looked back, and I made sure that my kids were taken care of, because there was like a kind of like an atrium where they were being schooled. And so I had other agents that took care of my kids, and me and the other guy, we took off in a black vehicle. We ended up going underground, and there was a lot of yellow buses, school buses that were there. Okay, and it was in Mexico. We ended up underground in Mexico. One of the dumbs there, because yes, they do connect everywhere. And one of the females comes out. She's wearing an orange jumpsuit, and her name is Samantha. And I've known her from the past here. I lost contact with her, but I knew her. And in my dream, she said, "Veronica, you're not going to forget me, are you? You're not going to forget us." I go, "No, I'm not. But you have to comply. You have to go into the yellow school buses, you know, to be taken care of until all this passes." And I, after that, is when I had the dream of the ocean side in California and in New York, all of that, all the ocean lines, the shorelines were gone. So to my left, I was on my ship. It was a huge ship. I saw people, animals, tigers, horses, elephants, people coming out of the water from the ocean. And there was a flood. And so me and the other SSP people said, "Hey, let's get on the ship. Let's get them on the ship." We made sure that they got into the front of the screens. In the first floor, there was the screens. We sat them there with information. And then I went to the second tier. I saw Susan. She was doing paperwork. And then on the third tier, that's when I saw Warner von Braun. And he asked me to forgive him because he had used me in the programs with President Bush and Reagan. And then I go up to the third tier, where there's special doors that are silver. One of my family members hands me the button, the red button, and I go in into where the closed doors are, they open, and there's Hillary Clinton sitting catatonic and other people that have hurt humanity and children. And they had like a harness on them, like catatonic. And then I pressed the button, the big red button, and they're done. They're done for. And that's the future that I saw. I also saw another part where we were at a restaurant. It looked like Mexico again. Like I said, it could be Mars, could be somewhere else, could be here. But to me, it felt like Mexico. And we made sure that they had tons and tons of food. The people that we had rescued, the men took care of the men, women took care of the women and children. And we were making sure that they fed and they were medically cleared. Reunited the children with their parents, and then the children that were mistreated at home, obviously we were not going to, we were going to do justice for them and separate the parents. By this time, the evil parents had been done for. We'll just say that. That's also connected to the Saturn program, where most of the children that we rescued, we took them to Saturn, where there's a mansion that was Mason, Illuminati. It was actually from the evil side, but we took it over, and it still had the black and white tiles, and it had the stairs would go like this, like concave. And my friends and I were up on the roof of this place, and then we went down, we were going to eat our dinner, whatever, snacks. And then to our left and to our right, we could see the different children, being taken to medical. And then after that, they were going to, after a while had happened, then they had school, they had entertainment, they were going to be doing some tap dancing, ballet, and, just being taken care of and making sure that they never saw evil. And yes, reunite them with the good parents, and then the evil parents would not see them again, because we didn't want them to be mistreated or hurt and things like that. In Mars, I have many clones and many alters. Her name is Soel. Soel is the one that has the black suit with the spider webs, and she meaning in the Kevlar spider technology. And I had a battle with I call them the reptoids. And those are the ones that they look like dinosaurs with the little hands. And some of them are like, they kind of look human, but they're more dinosaur. And they had taken women, children, they had taken them under the dumps where there's water trickling. I see the water trickling, and then they were electrocuting some, and most of them were in black cages, like bird cages and square cages, dog kennels, and all that. It was not a good sight. So I battled there. I saved, as many as I could. And then there was the final war in Mars that I was there, and that's why I contracted what they call the Veronica virus, the vampire virus. And so there was an explosion there. I was able to save one person. And when I took him to, we were dragons before too, by the way. We've all been here through these wars, meant eons and eons. We're reincarnate again, But I say this time I don't want to reincarnate. I say this is my last rodeo. I don't want to come back to Earth. But it's been very painful here. But anyway, so I saved this person, took him to safety, and then my ship got blown up, and half of my body with my face was blown off. And I was just there looking up at these beautiful, I don't know where I ended up in this place after Mars, but where I was exactly, I don't know. But there were these white, they look like white poinsettias, but they're white, like I said, with crystal things coming out in the middle, and just crystal leaves and white, just looking at me, like loving me, And I was just like so little, just looking at them. They were ginormous. And my friend Consuela, she tells me that she picked me up, and I told her I don't want to just leave me here to die. I kept telling her, leave me here to die. She said, no, you're not done yet. So she took me to my star family, to the Andromedans. And here I am with a bleed through of titanium on my neck, my lower back from S1 through L5. I have 4 titanium here. And now I need my middle back. My back is broken. I don't know how I work out like that or live. I have other issues that are going on. I've had 32 surgeries, going on more. And the bleed throughs from being in space, the radiation, the just everything having to be repaired here because this is a model. But anyway, there's a clone that was left here. Can I bring the picture real quick?
Sure.
Okay, let me bring it. And then I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm finding it interesting that her experiences are in Mexico as well as the US, so the programs are not isolated to just the United States. So keep that in mind, and that's why I wanted to see that point come forward. Is this is not just the United States government doing this; that it's global with these programs. And there. Should we go?
Yeah, it is global. This is my picture of when I was little. I was 4 years old, and I had red fiery hair. My mom says I blew up like an Oompa Loompa or like the blueberry had nothing. Willie, chocolate in the Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. She says because I was allergic to cortisone, and they gave me cortisone, and I blew up. Like I was never fat like that. I was just, because of the. So there's my giant Nephilim bloodline, red hair, green eyes, hazel. I was born with blonde hair. So this is what happened, okay? And I did write about it. I was sitting, there was something going on. I was living in Nogales, Arizona with my parents, and there was like a reunion on a party. And then I was just, with the Q-tip in my ear here. And then I heard, it was not really an audible voice, but it was a male voice that said, what would happen? I wonder what would happen if you inserted the Q-tip all the way using the back of the chair this way. And it was actually this ear, my left ear. And so I did that. There was blood everywhere. I busted my eardrum. My mom had to take me to the emergency. And that's why they gave me the cortisone, and then I blew up. So this is the clone they left behind. Now, I talked to one of my family members just yesterday, and she said, well, so the Veronica that we had, the Vero that we had was not you? And I said, no. I said, I'm back. I've been back for, I would say 5 years. 4 or 5 years. They've left many clones. I did many what they call 20 and backs, which is something Corey Good coined, not me. But many, not just one, not just two, not just three. They can keep you in space as long as they want. They just age regress you. Now, I have a twin. I have many of me, but I have, I want to tell you guys, I'm glad I remembered. So there's this one time when I went to bed, and I wake up in my bed, but instead of my head being toward the headboard, it was toward my feet. And I wake up and I open my eyes and I look up, and I am coming. My other me is coming in my gym uniform. I usually wear black, and then with my headphones and my bandana. So I walk in and I'm listening to the music. And when I sit down toward me, the other me, back toward my back to my other me. Get it?
Right.
And then I wake, I'm like, hey, Vero. I tell myself, hey, don't fall asleep. And I wake up. So, and I've seen many me's in the astral. So what happens is with Manhattan Project and all the project Looking Glass and everything, they try and put you back to where you were taken, but they misplace you. Look up Andrew Basiago. He talks about this, Pegasus. And Manhattan Project, you can look up Al Bealey. I'll give you links if you want. And then they misplace you, so you got 2, 3 of you, you know? And then they hope that you don't run into you. And then you wonder, why am I looking younger? Why am I looking? Because they age regress. Wow. Why can't I fit into my Nike Sheila She-Hulks that I was able to fit in before the major cancer hit 2.5 years ago? I can't fit into them anymore. Even though I was big then too. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we go small, sometimes we go big, depending. I have many dreams that I'm going through windows, through walls, through mirrors. And there was one dream that I got to tell you. Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Okay, I was in my apartment. I fell asleep. I wake up in my apartment in the bathroom. Same bathroom. But there isn't any of my cute little things, makeup, toiletry, my girl stuff, right? My deodorant, nothing. It's just plain. And I'm looking and I'm sitting there standing up, looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, what? And I go and I open the door to my bedroom. And guess what? I'm sleeping. I'm like, ooh, I better close the door. So then I go outside and I'm in Mexico. In my grandmother, there's a lot of things that happen in my grandmother's home. In my Nana Juana, I call her Nana Juana, Juanita. It's home. And I'm going to the porch and I'm going down the stairs. The stairs are actually blocks of cement, huge. Down, down, down. And then I see that there's a man raking in this huge field, but there isn't any grass or anything. He's raking dirt. I'm like, what the heck is this guy doing? So then I see a cave, and he has these animals in glass. Tigers, the white horse, elephants, dogs, wolves, you name it. So what happens is I get so mad that I use my chi and I go like that. And then there's white, remind me of the white light, okay? There's white, just fire that comes out. And then I just break the glass. And then the animals come running. There's the white horse that comes running to me. And I have so much love for that horse, because I was also in Project Pegasus too. But also as a child, I would go to sleep watching a movie. It was a movie of a little boy that had a little horse with wings, white. So this horse in my dream, though, didn't have wings. I have many dreams with horses. You guys should read my books. It's pretty interesting. They tell me, Beto, you have some weird-ass dreams. I'm like, yeah, and some of them come through. I tell them. But anyway, the horse comes to me, and then she puts her head on my lap, and I'm caressing it, and I wake up crying, terribly crying. Then there's this other dream where my mom says, Mijita, look at the picture of the Polaroid. Do you remember when you were in the Navy with your fiance? And I look at the picture. I'm like, yeah, where'd you find it? Then I wake up, go use the restroom here, go back to sleep. And I'm docking. I'm getting off, undocking. I'm getting off the ship. And I have my white Navy uniform with my hat, my little dress. And my fiance is right here beside me, holding me. And we have both our green duffel bags and the suitcases. I really want to show you the suitcase, but it's way over there. I found it later at a Goodwill store. But anyway, hold on. So I wake up. I'm in the dream, and we're all happy. And he's like, hey, you want to go get the ice cream after we eat? And I said, sure. So then what ends up happening is there's a little girl that runs to me. She has braids. She's kind of like, she's dark skinned, real beautiful, medium skin. And then she runs to me, and I save her, and I take her to the Elvis Presley that in Vegas, what is that edificio called? The building. Anyway, I take the little girl to, guess who? Peter the Insider from ACIO. And he's behind a huge glass, like those meat departments, but there's no meat in there. It's just his desk with the glass.
Right.
And I take her to him, and I said, "Take care of her, Peter, because I have to go get her things. I got to find out what's going on with her. Change. I don't know if she has a diaper or what. Like, I got to find some clothes or whatever, linens, whatever." She gives him a hug, and Peter the Insider is very stern. Like, he didn't want a hug, but then I go over there and give him a hug, and he's like, "Okay, get off me," So then I go into the back to the ship, and I'm in one of the how do you say, it's where they have all their medical supplies in the lockers. And so I'm opening that, I saw Johnson & Johnson talc, and I'm like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know if it was recalled in my dream. I was like, what should I get her? Okay, wipes, get her some, I don't know, diapers, some clothes, I don't know. So I was bagging that up, right? And then I finish, and I go back into the bottom of the ship in where they have all the rafts and things like that, like just extra supplies. And there is my fiance in a potato bag. Just they put it over his head and his body, and the two males said, "B, if you don't come back to work for us, we're gonna kill your fiance." And I woke up screaming, crying. I had to call my friend back in the day, Jessica Morocco, and she even recorded me. She said, "Yeah, it was a memory. And your fiance's name started with because I said my fiance's name, I think it starts with an L as in Lincoln." She goes, "Yeah, it could be Lenny." And I'm like, I don't know. I'm still baffled by that memory. And then later on, when I wanted to manifest to get out of my apartment, the other one, because what happened is, I don't know if you guys have heard of Max Spears, but he spoke about that they sent roaches to him and fire, like the Ring of Fire. So what happened to me is, I had been living there for 5 years without a problem. And all of a sudden, the roaches are infesting the apartments. Later on, Jessica Morocco told me that it was a hologram based in Arizona that they do that. And then I also researched that the Japanese had these roaches that you can command them to stop, start, stop, start. And that crap is real. So she said, yeah, they're doing that to you on purpose. She said that I've been targeted so many times. They've broken into my apartment. They've broken into my mom's apartment house twice. They followed my sister. They followed me. They try and mess around with my kids in the work. They tried asking questions about me out of the blue. Do you know who your mom is? They're like, what do you mean? Bullshit like that, which I do not consent. I return that shit to sender, man. Sorry, excuse me. I gotta calm down, Sheila. Calm down. But so where was I?
You're talking about coming back in one of your dreams after your fiance at the time had a potato sack.
Yeah. So then when then the fire comes. I was baking something, and the whole thing turned on fire, and I didn't have an fire extinguisher, so I used my hands, and I in my mind I thought, hold, freeze, and somehow it froze. It just stopped. And then I said, you know what? I need to get out of there. And I went to the Goodwill. Something told me to go to the Goodwill, and I found a suitcase. And I'll send you a picture of it. But it's an old-fashioned suitcase where the vampires used to have the olden days where you travel with those in the military or whatever. This one belonged to a male. But I bought it. I bought that and something else. And a week later, I found my new place where I am now. And I was told to come here. I've never seen this place. My apartment is my birthday. you know. And then I find out I have cancer, and I live by the cancer center now. So it's just, you got to listen to your intuition, you know. So then what I wanted to say was, I wanted to talk about the white light in the hospital, but also the white light in my chest. And the white light, what happened is I had already attempted suicide the third time in my life. It didn't work. You guys can read about it in my book. How I did it and whatever. It took me 20 doctors to save me. Yep. And I was still like, well, what the hell's happening? You know, my kids they were trying to take away my kids. A lot of things were happening. And I just said, you know, if there's a real something out there that loves me, a real God, I don't really want to call it God or source. I said, if there's something out there that's creator, like that loves me, that I know that I'm a part of, pretty much, if there's a God out there that really, a true God, I said, that loves me and does not wish harm and is a true creator, speak to me now. Show me something. I said, because I'm going to 10-7 again. I'm going to try it again, you know, because it was just really, it's been hell. But anyway, it's better now, little by little. So what happened is there was a shooting star that hit the floor. At the same time that it hit the floor, the light came out of my chest. It was a huge white light that came out of my chest, and I knelt to the floor. I had a rosary on my hand, and I had a candle lit. I started crying, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And by that time, I was living with some people I thought who were my friends from high school. And they came in, and she's like, what are you trying to do, V? Trying to open a portal? I'm like, what's that? You know, back in the day, I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. And we went outside. We asked the neighbors, hey, you know, did you guys see that light, that shooting star hit? And they said there was a couple, male and a female. We heard it and we saw it. But then we look on the floor, there's nothing there. No hole, no burn, nothing. So I'm thinking, what the hell was that, right? And it wasn't until a few years ago I found out it was me. Some people call it a walk-in. Nope, that was my real me coming back. That was my real me. So I'm back, baby. And it's been a journey, Mag, and it's a pleasure to meet you. I have more, but you know, we're already going to be done, right? It's an hour.
We can, and yeah, and
we can do another show another time or whatever.
Definitely, and I'm finding it interesting how you talk about you have no connection to no bloodline to Mexico and all of this, but yet all your dreams that you share are in Mexico, and it's like
most of them, yeah. And then
Mars, like,
yeah.
Are you sure you don't have a tie there?
No, I have a tie. I have a tie to the Dominican Republic. My mother is Dominican Republic, and then she has a great grandmother from India. And she has a grandmother. My great grandmother is from Germany. She's German. Her last name is Ritchie. My grandfather is her dad is Ashkenazi Jew. Gomez is the last name. We are also from Spain on both sides of the family. My dad has Persian blood and Italian and French. My mom also has French. There's a lot of dreams that take place here. On the south side of town, by Bilby and Fontana, where I live. I've been taken to through portals to Mars, Uranus. Yes, there is life in Uranus. I've been in Pluto with the Wolfmen and the Dogmen. I've fought against them many times. The blue Dogmen do not like me. I just open their mouths and throw them, against whatever.
I wouldn't like you either doing that.
They're not going to mess with me. So Wolfmen, most of the Wolfmen are my brothers because I have wolf blood. I have dragon blood. I have mermaid blood DNA. dolphin. I have some lion, some lyrian. My kids are both Leos. I have cats. I have 2 cats and a German Shepherd. My Lola, she came into my dream in 2017 as a white wolf. Behind her, there was a bunch of little coyotes, little dogs. And she said, "Mother," to me. And I woke up and I'm like, what the hell does this mean? She was white and had the brown hair on her ears. And 4 years ago, I found her in the desert with babies. She's my German Shepherd. She's my helper. And I found a home for all 10 puppies because the 11th one was dead. And I got help from some of the public for the food and everything. And I found homes for all of them. So she's my rescue hero. She's my mother. I'm her mother. I rescued 2 cats also. So.
No, that's beautiful that you have that, and
Thank you.
It's kind of interesting because for me in my personal life, going through what I was going through, it was like, if this is what the family line's going to be like, then it ends with me because I don't want it to go further. And then my sister did the family tree, and I took it over and ran it deeper. And I was surprised at what I was learning in my family tree and going, whoops, this bloodline does need to continue. And so now I'm kind of like, oh, I'm the last of the bloodline males. And so it's like, I'm like, yeah, I better,
continue
hopefully
it.
find someone soon and continue the bloodline.
Yeah. The last of the Mohicans.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was born like what they call a purple butt. So I have the yellow and then the Syrian. So it's the mammalian and the dragon. A lot of us have the mammalian and the reptile. So there's a battle within us, and Max Spears talks about that too. And I'm O negative rhesus, and my mother was O negative. My father, my great grandmother, my grandmother, everyone in my parents' mother and father and grandparents were O negative. So we are the what they call the blue bloods, because if you get a cut or whatever, and the oxygen, the air hits it, it turns copper. So the blue blood, and then we have most of the power within our lungs. And they just recently took my lower left lung, but I'm still very powerful. So thank you for having me on, and I hope you do find someone that can create for you.
I'm sure as the missions and everything settles, time for that will come. And as you say, we live pretty much forever. So,
yeah,
we manipulate time, so we can always go back and be like, hey, I'm not in my 80s no more. I'm back in my 40s. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, we're usually like 20 years younger, I believe, than what they want us to be. Something like that with the age regressions. And I can change timelines too. I'm a time traveler, Andromeda 1800. Sometimes I travel with my briefcase. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just me. Can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
Okay, so there was a dream that I had my case, what I call my black CIA case that I bought since I was in like a junior or senior in high school. And there was a swimming pool, an inside swimming pool. I have a lot of dreams of swimming pools too in the ocean. But anyway, there was a swimming pool full of men. And I was the only female. And my briefcase was open. And then along comes a white male, older gentleman. He had glasses. He had a salt and pepper, a little bit of hair left here, and then mustache. And he had on a navy uniform. He had his medals here on each side. And he came with another agent, and he said, Veronica, he pointed at me. He said, we will be with you when the scorpion marries the spider. So the Raelian agenda is Germany and Japan. Pretty much the Fabian agenda, the transhumanism agenda, where you see the old Da Vinci picture, right? Where it's man touching the god, right? One of the wannabe gods. So it's pretty much human, when human is merged with technology.
Wait, the fingers touching,
Now,
you mean Michelangelo's?
yes, sorry, Michelangelo. I said Da Vinci. The Da Vinci is the one with the wheel, like when they spin you, because they have to spin you to get you out of body. So when I was a kid, I loved going around the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
So yeah, they spin you, and then you can go out of body like that, and that's part of the Pegasus project. But so what it is we're coming up to a war where the human super soldiers are going to be warring against the human crossed with AI, the cyborg humans. Now remember, we humans will always win no matter what, because we have love. We have the power. The real human star family have the power of love. And love is the one that transmutes everything and just pretty much hit the road, Jack, if you're not going to be good to humanity. Unfortunately, the government is lined up with the negative ETs. It's lined up through Antarctica. And there's a wormhole there that I have seen. They have sleeper cells. I wrote about that in my Sheila and the 99 with the Hulk and Dolphin program, where I see the many that are sleeping under ice to be brought back into life. And that's also part of the Nephilim agenda, which is connected to Saturn and the moon and how they reincarnate you through the moon. They take you to Saturn, they bring you back. They use us as pretty much their electricity, their food, whatever, which I do not consent. So in Antarctica, when Admiral Byrd was there, he found the entrance, and they told him to never speak about it, but his son knew, and he was actually going to go meet someone, I think Berkner, but they killed him off to show evidence of that. And that's where the evil aliens come through, and they steal our children. There's other, okay, it's connected to all DOMs, deep underground military base. It's connected. You can be in like 5 seconds from here to, Hawaii or whatever. Or you can be in 5 seconds to Mars. I think it takes like 10 seconds to get to Mars from the jump rooms in 9999 South Dakota Boulevard, where I was with Max Spears and James Caswald. I'm hoping to have James Caswald on my show. He said he was going to check his calendar because I really want to find out what the hell happened to Max. They killed him, and it's said that it was Stuart Swirlo and a chick named Monica. I know that from my researches. And now, good thing is that Sarah Adams is posting all that stuff on screenshots on her Facebook. And I asked if I can share that because I've been following ever since I had my awakening. That's how I woke up, by watching Max Spears and James Caswell. So I reposted that on my Facebook, and this is war, the battlefield of the mind, war against humanity, war against, crimes against humanity are real. The whole, the whole credit score agenda from China, credit score, the smart cities, the PDFs that they have. It's a certain name that they call it at the medical. All your medical records, or they will be, well, they have been placed into this China credit score along with your facial recognition. It happened, I remember when they were putting all those signs up at Target and Walmart, where they had, Target has the highest surveillance, and then it's Walmart cameras. When they were starting to put up those posters of people, I would take a double take. I'm like, who the hell's looking at me? but it's actual posters of real, right? Supposedly people. And then along with the cameras, those are the highest. It's connected to the FBI, connected to the DOD, connected to the DOJ, and then of course we always hear that FEMA camps are under Walmart. And I'm always telling people, don't go to the stadiums like in the movie. What's his name? Will Smith, I Am Legend, because that stuff is real. You don't want them to take your children or anything like that. So anyway, I took out the Queen of Pentacles and Three of Pentacles for you. And these are, do you want me to read them and then we'll go?
Sure.
Okay. And then we could do another show. And then if you want to be on my show, just you and me, we can do that too. That way you can tell your story. Let's see. Yep.
Sure, we can make that happen.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I don't know why I can't find it. Let me find it here. But basically, I can't find it, but basically it's telling me that we are all magicians and we are all in this together, and we hold the emerald. It signifies we hold creation, we hold past, present, and future. As above, so below. We are pretty much creators, and we have many lifetimes with the lion, the cougar, the tiger, the rhinoceros. We are all of these entities, and these entities are us. And we have lived many lifetimes. It's funny because it's kind of like holding like a cell phone or a card. Let me see if I can find it because it's really interesting. Queen of Pentacles. And the one is, it's Goddess of Love. Do we have time?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see. Queen of Pentacles. It's not showing up. Hold on just a second. Let me find it here. And the other one is Three of Pentacles, which has the pyramid and the Naga, which we also come, we've also lived with the serpents, and some of us have been overlaid with the serpent bloodline. And then also the pyramids hold the secrets, as we know, and there's one that should hold, the paw also holds more maps for us, and that the pomegranate is pretty much life. It's showing us how we can go from life to death, and that we are responsible for our creation. And whatever, we can how do you say, we can with our heart, see on the top it's being sacrificed. If we know that we are the owners of our heart, we can actually be helping others to empower. Okay, here we go. So I'm just going to read the general meaning of the Three of Pentacles. In general context, the Three of Pentacles is a positive card to get into the tarot spread. It represents learning, studying, and apprenticeship. It also signifies hard work, determination, dedication, and commitment. So whatever you are doing in the moment, you are likely to be given it 100%. Congratulations, you went back to the gym, yay! It also signifies building, and me too, on success of foundations. You have worked hard to overcome your challenges, and the effort you have put in should be paying off. This minor arcana card can also indicate that you may be collaborating with others to achieve your goals. Here we are. Love and relationships. In love tarot reading, if you are in a relationship, the Three of Pentacles indicates that you are committed to the relationship. and are putting the effort in it to make things work. If you have been having issues in the relationship, it can be a sign that you may seek the help of a relationship counselor to overcome your issues. You and your partner are growing together and learning about each other. If your relationship is relatively new, the Three of Pentacles can represent a time in the relationship where you are learning about each other and figuring out what to share in your lives with each other in the future. If you are single, the Three of Pentacles can indicate that someone you like has noticed you too. It can also mean that you may meet a potential partner through work or study. See, you even said that. You even said, hey, after the missions, right?
Right.
Or maybe during the mission? Okay, let me tell you about the Queen of Pentacles. And Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles card deposits a beautiful woman sitting on a decorated throne holding a golden coin. Okay, well, this one holds a card. It could be a mirror, excuse me, a coin. Surrounding her, a beautiful blooming tree and green floral gardens. Her throne is decorated with various beasts of earth, tying her closely with nature and abundance. And it also means like closer to the root races. That means we have all the abilities pretty much, not just seers. At the bottom of the card on the right side, a rabbit is pouring into the frame, which symbolizes her high energy and fertility. Ooh, maybe you'll find a queen that's fertile. Sorry, they have the sage going on. But it can also mean something else, right? Okay. The Queen of Pentacles, therefore, deposits a certain level of success and prosperity, but the rabbit at the bottom, cautious, is cautioning us, right? That we should be careful of where we leap when we are chasing the success. It can also mean like success, like where to go, who to trust, right? The Queen of Pentacles represents both a down-to-earth woman who plays many roles to ensure that she keeps her family happy. And then it could also be talking about your feminine side too, okay, Michael? Or whoever's watching. She knows how and when to show love, keeping an orderly home, cooking comforting meals, and takes care of her children. But do not mistake her for being only a homebody. Alongside all these motherly attributes, she can plan business ventures and execute her plans successfully. It is thought that her naturally talented business senses that she is surrounded by such luxury. She is quiet and does not like disclosing her financial accounts. Wow. Fearing that it could bring more complexity to her life. Yeah, ain't that the truth, right? Which she desires to keep rather simple. She may have secret bank accounts and nobody knows about, for she may choose to be careful, vigilant, and self-sufficient. I love this. Thank you for this time, Michael, and I appreciate you and your audience. Thank you.
And thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching. And as we wrap this up for this episode, I like to remind everyone to like, follow, and subscribe whichever platform you're on, so that when Veronica comes back on, you can be aware and up to date on the shows. And so thank you to everybody, and thank you, Veronica, for all you're doing.
You're welcome, Michael. Thank you for all your shows, and it was really a pleasure to meet you. It's awesome.
It was a pleasure to meet you as well.
Thank you. We'll see you. Love you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.
See you.